There we go. Hey everyone, it's Spring B here. I'm here today with Dr. Val. I am so excited. Honestly, I stalked Dr. Val earlier today and I was like, dang, this is going to be legit. And so, first of all, thank you for being here. I'm so
Thank
grateful.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you for
so
inviting me.
yeah. So for everybody that doesn't know, Dr. Val is one of our featured speakers for our Ignite event. And we actually have some mutual acquaintances that when I said, hey, I want to put together this event, the first person, no hyperbole, they were like, hey, you need to have Dr. Val. She's amazing. Let me see if I can get her. And so when you said yes, I was like, oh my gosh, yes. And then when I learned a little bit more about you, I'm like, this is such a treat. Like it's a game changer. And so thank you so much, first of all, for attending and joining us at Ignite. And then thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you. It was my honor and my pleasure when I got approached about it. I was like, these are my people. This is my tribe. Yep, let's do it. This is my passion.
Yeah. Okay, so let's dive in. Like maybe just give like a quick rundown, like who you are. You live in Canada. I saw that today. Like give us a rundown because this is like you're legit. So give us a little background history and what your practice is and everything.
Sure. So I can do the boring. Okay, I'm a naturopathic doctor. I have an undergraduate degree in nutrition, and then I became a naturopathic doctor because of my own health journey. I've been in practice for 22 years. I decided that I was going to go travel and learn all over the world because I got obsessed with knowledge and wanting to know all the secrets, the ancient secrets. So, along with being a naturopath for the past 22 years, I also have studied hypnosis. I've studied to be a yoga instructor. I've studied as well in China. I went and studied at a teaching hospital there. I studied with a yogi in Hawaii. So, you can see it's a fun career for writing travel off as a business expense.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to share my knowledge that I was passionate about. And so I became a teacher for the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine, which is here in Toronto, which is where my practice is, although my practice is kind of global at this point in time. And then I taught at the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition because nutrition is a big base of what I do. And then I went on as well to begin to work with a lot of CEOs and elite athletes. And I've held a number of retreats. And most recently, I'm this beautiful bronze color because I've been working with Vanuatu's women's beach volleyball team, and I was with them on their pro tour through through southern Italy on a number of beaches, and then we were in Birmingham for the Commonwealth Games, and the team actually won the bronze medal. So,
Yes.
yeah.
So
So
cool.
elite performance and high performance and keeping your health and hormones balanced as you're living the life of your dreams is basically what I do for a living.
Yeah. Yeah. So I saw that first of all when I went and like looked at all your stuff that you've been out with the volleyball team, crushing it. So let's talk about that for 1 minute. So what is your role with them? Like you're traveling with them to help them stay in peak performance, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, so team doctor was my role when I was with them, and so as a naturopath, we have a lot of different tools that we can play with. And if you don't mind, I'll take you right back to kind of how I got into naturopathic medicine. So I was doing an undergraduate degree in nutritional sciences at a university that is one of the top universities in North America for nutrition. And when I was there, I had finished my undergraduate degree and I actually was going to go on and do a master's and a PhD. And what ended up happening is I was sick and I was sleeping for 10, 12 hours. I'd be up for an hour and I'd have to go back to bed. Now, if I lived at a different time, if I was a lot, if it was happening, if I was a lot younger than I actually am, is what I'm trying to say. I would have been diagnosed probably with chronic fatigue, but that didn't exist at that time.
Okay.
So basically, what happened was my medical doctor said, "There's nothing wrong with you. This is just stress. Go home and sleep some more." And I decided, okay, that Okay, that's a coma. You'd have to hook me up to IV. You can't do that. So I didn't want to live that way. I always loved living with passion and purpose. I was already an avid traveler. I already avid scuba diver. This is just not going to work for me.
Yeah.
So I went to see a naturopath. My aunt said, "Hey, why don't you go see a naturopath?" So I was like, "Sure, why not? I've got nothing else to lose." And my naturopath said, "It's your diet." And I was like, "Wait a minute. No. I'm a nutritionist. I know everything." Because you think you do when you graduate. You've got this little box perspective. So I had nothing else to lose. So I'm like, "All right, go ahead." So he said, "Okay, let's do some food sensitivity testing." We did it. And I was like, "Oh, I'm allergic to basically life." And so I'm like, I don't even know what I can eat at this point in time. Because think about gluten-free, basically almost 30 years ago. It was not good food.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? And so, but I took all those foods out. And as soon as I did, my health turned around like that. And I was like, okay, now you guys have secret knowledge. I want to know what you know, because you knew what my medical doctor didn't know. And you knew stuff that I wasn't taught in an undergraduate degree in one of the best universities for nutrition in North America. You guys got something here. So I just became hooked. I wanted this quest for knowledge, and I started to see the healing that was possible. So at the time, I was like everybody else, and I thought, oh, I also have, some PMS. That's normal. And my naturopath's like, no, you don't have to have that. I was like, what? Mind blown. So sure enough, he's like, take this, this, and this. We did. Totally gone. I'm like, game changer. So now I start getting into the best health, shape, and fitness of my life. And I end up like eating, breathing, and sleeping naturopathic medicine. So I graduate and I'm loving the nutrition component, and I get into practice, and I am going to save the world, right? That's how you're like, I know if you just do this, right, then you're just going to be fine. And a whole bunch of my patients went, no, I can't do it. And I started to see the mind-body connection.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started studying hypnosis, because I was like, okay, you've got a mind pattern that's preventing you from implementing these strategies. I could have the greatest strategies in the world, but if it's eat 20 pounds of Brussels sprouts a day or take a pill this big, it's not going to happen. It's useless. So I'm like, now I want to go and study hypnosis. I want to find that mind, body, spirit connection, which then led me into, hey, all of this actually started on a spiritual level first.
Interesting.
And then it came down into a mental, emotional picture. And then it came down into the physical body. So you could actually use the physical to springboard to help resolve and grow from that spiritual level, or the opposite.
Yeah.
So that's when I ended up getting interested in some of those more basically more Eastern philosophies. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. There's people who have been practicing this mind-body medicine, this ancient medicine, for 10,000 years. I want to know what they know. So that's when I was like, okay, now I'm getting into yoga. Now I'm getting into Ayurvedic medicine. Now I'm going to go study in China. So I went to study in China, had my mind blown. And when I was there, I just saw their lifestyle. And I'm like, these are my people. This is every morning they were all out doing some type of martial art, all outside, and they were all had their home remedies and their little soup, and everybody had the tea and the family remedy. And they knew, oh, if you're getting this cold or this flu, you take this herb and this tea and you eat this food. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these are my people. So I'm there studying in China, having a fantastic time. And I didn't want to, because again, everybody's there first thing in the morning, out basically practicing some form of martial arts. And I thought, I don't want to go and interrupt. Is that rude? I don't know. So I ended up doing yoga, because I was taking a yoga class at that point in time in front of like these temples outdoors I was in Hangzhou, where the West Lake is, which has the best tea in the world. So by the West Lake, like beautiful surroundings every morning. And then I was like, oh, I got to share this with people. So that's when I went to do my yoga teacher training. And so everything has just kind of evolved just from there. That's been the flow. And
I love what you shared of a couple of things that I think is so powerful of, you talked about like the body and the diet, and you've told these people what to do based off of exactly to be successful, but their mind was like, nope, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's just so important because all of us know how to be, to a certain extent, there's no secret of how to be quote unquote healthy. Right.
Oh, there is. We'll
Yes,
circle back.
yes, we'll circle on that. But I'm just saying, like, it really does come down to your mind of being like, okay, I'm willing to do this. Now, I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, healthy in today's society is so different than what health really is.
Oh,
Correct?
for
Like,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I look at like all the junk and the junk in our foods and the junk that we're consuming, and to just, it's insane. Like I put on that post, if you could see your insides, like you can see your outsides, would you
Yeah.
partake in what you're partaking in? Right. So,
Well, there's so many different lies that are being deliberately told to people.
yeah.
So many. But you're right about the mindset. And this was what blew me away about being able to be with the beach volleyball team this summer, because I was working with Steve Anderson, who is this amazing coach. He set world records himself. He won gold medals himself as an athlete in the Olympics. And then he took that team to the bronze medal using his strategies, which involve a lot of positive mindset and a lot of dealing with those mindset issues. And he's already won multiple gold medals. And so he had worked with originally with Vanuatu. Then he went to Australia. He worked with Australia and took them to the gold medal. Then he came to work for Canada. So yay Canada. I mean, I love Toronto. It's part of Canada. And then Canada, he worked with them for 9 years. Then he went back to Vanuatu. Well, the medal teams that won at Birmingham, Canada won the gold, and that was the team that he was just working with before Vanuatu. Australia won the silver,
So cool.
and Vanuatu won the gold, won the bronze. And it was to watch the mindset. That's what made our team unstoppable, because you had the nutrition dialed in, you had the structure dialed in, you had, yes, the technique dialed in, but then they also had this mindset. Like the Vanuatu people already have a mindset they call strong mind. So they already have it ingrained in their culture that if something is negative, they don't even acknowledge it or see it. And so you would see them, and then to work with Steve Anderson and use his champions map, which he has coined in terms of getting that elite performance and that mindset piece. When we got into different games, everybody's elite at that level. Everybody's performing well. Everybody's working with coaches that are exceptional. So then you get the nutrition dialed in and the cellular health dialed in, and they've got the energy, the strength, they're regenerating. They're not getting the injuries happening because they don't have the inflammation. And then on top of that, you get them competing at a high level with other high level teams. And when it's close, you see the other team starting to melt down mentally. And our team just goes boom and snaps right back on. And they just execute. And it was phenomenal to watch them win. They were powerhouses. They won every game on the pro tour that they played. And then when they were in Birmingham, they only lost one game to Australia.
It's so cool. So this last weekend, I did an event. It's called 29 out 29. It's the equivalent of hiking Everest in 36 hours. But two things that you just said that Jesse Itzler hit on. One, he hit on the spoken word or the unspoken word too. That you do not speak into existence any pain or whatnot. So like if anybody asks you how you're doing, you're like outstanding, right? Because what you put out there, if you're like, I can't, or I'm tired, right? And he's like, you don't even say you get tired. But the other component that you just hit on, I think is so powerful, is there was a woman with us or that did it, and she trained like crazy, and her mindset, and she was like, I am great, but her nutrition was not dialed. Yeah. And she didn't end up accomplishing what she wanted to. And it's just like, I don't think people realize how important nutrition plays just in life, right?
It's huge.
Let alone sports and everything.
It's absolutely huge. And I think there's a lot of myths that are out there, and people are deliberately being misled and they don't even know it. Like this,
Yeah.
if I could get rid of one mindset for, especially for women, it's this idea that calories actually matter.
Yeah.
Calories, there's this little meme I saw once. It's so cute. And it says, like, calories are little tiny fairies that come into your closet at night and sew your clothes tighter. That is exactly what they are. There's this fake, messed up construct. Yes, if you don't eat enough, if you don't get enough calories, you're going to gain weight, by the
Yeah.
way. You're not going to be fueling your body. But this idea that if you could eat all of, or you have to like minimize the calories you eat and then exercise, like become the cardio queen and like burn off all these calories, that controls your weight, that is all wrong. And we have got decades of experience and decades of just like, look at what's happened, right? We've got all this experience right there saying it doesn't work. So
So
why
what
are we beating ourselves up?
yeah, what is truth then? Because I would say I'm probably the queen of, I mean, I actually count like what I put in my mouth, my little My Fitness app, right? And
Yeah.
I exercise. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I would think I'm like 90% of women out there, right? Of calories in, calories out.
Oh, absolutely. And then the women who come into my office, they've done that time after time. It's not worked for them, and they think it's their fault. And they come in thinking they're broken, they're bad, they don't have this quote unquote willpower. Well, you'll be happy to know I don't believe in willpower. I believe in great structure, great strategies, and I believe in balancing out your hormones.
Yeah.
Because really what it comes down to is one part habit, one part hormone. And I'm going to tell a little story from Tuscany, just because it's so, I think it elucidates what all of my patients really want to hear and what every woman wants to hear. So when I was in Tuscany, so I always tell my patients, listen, you have to be prepared. And here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to hold your hand and walk you through. Because if we get you prepared and you've got the right structure around you, you're eating the right food for your body that balances out your hormones, you're not going to get hungry. You're going to like the food that you're eating. You're not going to have to count a single calorie. Your weight is going to go where it's happy. You don't have to weigh or measure anything. And you're not even going to crave any of those foods that you're calling like the junk foods. Like, oh, I just love chocolate. I just love eating. Good. You're human. You're supposed to eat, but you want to eat real food and food that your body loves. Once you start eating that way, your body craves it and wants it, right? It doesn't really crave the chippies. So we're in Tuscany. And I'm with my colleague, Dr. Sasha Green. We were doing, again, we get to write this off. This was business. So, but I wasn't prepared. And so I know exactly how to travel and prepare. I just wasn't.
Yeah.
And so get back to the hotel room, and there are these horrific cookies in the fridge. They're not even good cookies.
Yeah.
We're in Italy. It's not even a real cookie. It's like this fake, we know you're American, so we're going to make this fake Oreo. It was awful, right? It wasn't even good. It wasn't even a real Italian cookie. No biscotti. I went for the cookie. I was telling this to Sasha, and she's like, I can't believe you're human. How did you go for that cookie? She's like, you don't like sugar. You don't eat, like, I don't eat that stuff because I don't crave it. You could have it sitting in front of me for a year and I won't even, it doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
But in that moment, because I wasn't prepared, I didn't feed and fuel myself properly. I got back to the hotel. I did not have my stuff stocked up. I went for the cookie because that's biology.
Mm-hmm.
If your blood sugar levels are dropping, you're going for the cookie, unless you're prepared to have something there. So number one, don't let your blood sugar levels drop. Number two, make sure your thyroid, your DHEA levels, your stress levels, that hormone called cortisol, make sure they're all in balance. Leptin, ghrelin, we can talk about those. But those stress hormones, and for women, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, balancing those out, that's the key. So one part habit, one part hormone. You get those into alignment, don't worry about anything else. You watch. And then again, I like to look at genetically, because so many of my patients will say to me, should I go keto? Should I not go keto? Should I be plant-based? Should I be vegan? Should I be vegetarian? Should I be paleo? How should I be eating?
Yeah.
And so that's actually a conversation that is a perfect starting point for everybody. It's exactly the $10 million question each of us should be asking. And the answer is actually in your DNA and your hormones. And so some people do well on a ketogenic way of eating. It works for them, and that's fantastic. Some people do amazing on intermittent fasting. Some don't. Some people do really well being a vegan or a vegetarian. Some don't. So you have to look at what you want genetically. You have to look at where your hormones are, and then what's happening in your lifestyle around you.
Yeah.
Because if you're a woman whose hormones are out of balance, because you have what I call a high performance lifestyle. So go, 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 go. Work hard, play hard. I love that lifestyle, not giving it up, right?
Right.
So if you have that lifestyle, your body's a high performance machine, but your hormones are more likely to go off balance. Then throw in, oh, you're heading towards the time where you're going to reach menopause, or you're just heading into a time where maybe you've had a little bit of PMS, maybe you want to get pregnant. Our hormones for women can get off track really quickly because our body is still designed and built for, thousands of years ago. It hasn't really changed from those hormones that way. So for women, my experience with women is this. If we get under too much stress, throws our hormones off balance. Cortisol levels come up and we get imbalances in estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. That causes weight gain, right? We start to hit that time frame. So PMS, you shouldn't have it. It's common, it's not normal. You don't have to have it. Let's get rid of it. You shouldn't have to have weight gain as you age. You shouldn't have to have aches and pains. You shouldn't have to have any of the symptoms that we call menopause. Okay, your hormones are going to decline. Your menstrual cycle will stop. It's supposed to. But anything else like the hot flashes, I can't sleep, I'm gaining weight, my sex drive has become a sex walk. I've got hair in places I don't want it, and I'm losing it in hair in places that I do. All of those things, they don't have to happen.
Right.
So as we're kind of those are all signs that the hormones are out of balance.
Yeah.
If we're living a high performance life and we're go, 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 our bodies are more likely to have higher cortisol, and they're more likely to shut the hormones down. They're likely to say, this environment is stressful. And because it's stressful, we don't want you getting pregnant. Yeah. So then you get all that stuff happening. It doesn't have to happen.
Interesting. Yeah. So this is where you come into play. You'll do blood work, right?
Blood work, saliva, maybe sometimes urine testing, maybe stool testing, genetic testing. It just depends on each individual.
Mm-hmm. And then also food sensitivity, right?
Huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a mutual friend, acquaintance, and she's a woman that was already very thin, like very thin. And I heard she lost, you did all of her panels and her inflammation, and you changed her diet, and she lost 16 pounds or something. I'm like, where did the 16 pounds come from? When I say thin, you guys, thinner than I am, and I'm not crazy thin, but I was just 16 pounds of inflammation though. Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
And so it's just it's crazy to how much you're storing and how much you're creating that inflammation, especially in America. Our food is so bad. The organic, if it's not organic, and even organic criteria is not even really organic at this point, but the preservatives and just everything is pretty bad.
Well, and I know who you're talking about, and she was already eating organic.
Yeah.
And she was already eating healthy. She was saying, I eat healthy. Okay. Yeah. And compared to the average North American, yeah, you do. Yeah. And now she loves the way she's eating. She is, probably eating more, mm-hmm. and not counting calories.
Yeah.
And she's lost the weight.
She's cutting out what was inflaming her body, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say for a woman who is hitting in their late 30s, early 40s, that just is man, I'm kind of at that point. I have a lot of friends right now that I'm looking at them being your hormones are whacked. Or you're just changing, right? We're all aging, but it's very apparent. So what would you say the first step is?
Well, I would say, getting older is inevitable, but aging isn't. in North America, we're aging way too fast, way too fast. So if your hormones are shifting in your 30s, it's because you're living a high performance lifestyle and you're not fueling your body properly, because it shouldn't be shifting in your 30s. So yeah, because you hear that all the time. Oh, right around menopause, perimenopause, your hormones will change and you'll gain a little bit of weight. And my experience was when I was 47, that's when I started to experience, okay, my weight is shifting and I'm not quite sure what's going on here. Everything that I was doing before wasn't working for me. So I did what every woman does. I'm going to go to someone who is a personal trainer, who's a bodybuilder, who is on stage competing, who's a holistic nutritionist, who puts other people on stage. And I'm just going to do what he tells me and we'll be fine. Yeah. So I go and I start doing everything that he's saying, and wonderful guy. And he's like, your body's not shifting. He's like, I don't get it. I'm like, I know. And he's like, he's like, I know you're doing exactly what I'm telling you to do, because I know who you are. I know you're doing this. He's like, I don't get it. So that for me led to another personal experience and personal journey where I kind of went, okay, what's going on? And I started doing the research. Like, why is my body not shifting? And then I actually started looking into the hormone piece in greater detail and started eating in a way to balance out my hormones. And as soon as I started doing that, my body just started shedding the weight. Yep. And I was eating more. I was eating more and I was exercising less.
So cool.
So, and then I was like, yeah. And so then I was, meet my personality, right? I'm like, let's see how far this sucker can go. I want to see what this puppy can do, right? Like, I'm like, I thought I was driving a Volvo. No, I've got a Ferrari. Let's take this sucker out on the Autobahn and see what's possible, right? So without counting calories, again, eating to balance my hormones, eating more, exercising less, in the gym only 2 days of the week, I got down to 14% body fat.
That's so cool. Well, I think as women too, like all of it, like we want to have big lives. And so it starts with your health, right? And having that energy. And that starts from just understanding your hormones and your diet and just all of that. So, and I have to tell you, I don't even think you look 47. So when when I was 47, I'm like, what? So you look amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm into my 50s. Now I heard Oprah say the 40s are the best decade for women, but I'm having the most fun in my 50s. I like it just gets better.
Well, I would say that too. So it's interesting because I'm in my 40s and I'm loving life. It's so fun. And it's like, why not be I actually think I'm in better shape and have better health now, but I do have my blood work done every quarter. I'm very aware of like what's going in my mouth. I actually do want to work with you though, because I know there's that next level, right? And I'm excited about it.
Yeah. And I think for me, once I started getting around that, 5th decade of life, I did what most women do. Like, okay, now I need to get serious about anti-aging. I need to think about this. So I became obsessed. So if you think I was obsessed before about naturopathic medicine, it's like, okay, what can I do to look as young as possible for as long as possible? So I now have like everything you could possibly research and think about for anti-aging. I'm like dialing that in on a level that's really fun and yet, kind of insane. So little OCD on that maybe, but it'll work to your advantage.
I chose you for a reason. So ladies, listen up. We're doing an event in San Diego, beautiful San Diego. It's called Ignite. The reason, Dr. Val, I don't know if you know this, why I called it Ignite is 2 things. So when I was in my 20s, I was burned in a fire. And so my body is 80% a scar. That experience, though, changed my life of like the power of choice. So everything is that like fire, so I'm like, I love fire, believe it or not, just because it changed my life. The other thing is when I started thinking about this event, I'm like, we get so caught up in that high achievement, high performance lifestyle, like just said, that was just kind of like the rat race. And I'm like, there's just more to life than all of that. And so I'm like, let's do an event for women that we can get together, like-minded, but level up our health, our spirituality. We even have somebody who is coming for your erotic blueprint. Yeah, did you know that? Yeah,
I was looking at it. Yeah, I was like, I can't wait.
Fantastic. And then in a cool location, we rented a private yacht to go out and do a sunset dinner cruise and stuff. So I'm really excited about this because you're the real deal. And this is just like a little glimpse of what the 2 days in San Diego is going to look like. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you before San Diego, how would they do that?
There's a number of different ways they can do that. I have a website, and they can go directly to my website, and then they can send me an email from there. The other way that they can do that is
I'll put it in the comments too, but what is your website?
So my website is conveniently drvalfranc.com. So DR,
right?
Yeah. DR, yes, thank you. Yeah, my last name is spelled with a C.
Yep.
And then they can contact me and connect with me through social media, either LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook.
And you work with clients from all over. Like I know the woman that, I mean, you're in Canada, but the woman we were referencing, she's in Colorado. So you work with women everywhere on getting their hormones, their inflammation, just everything peak performance.
Yes. Yeah. And I've got patients in Australia and all over the world.
Love it so much. Well, everybody is watching this live. We're going to San Diego. So we are about a fourth of the way, a little bit more than a fourth of the way sold out. And so if you guys are wanting to join us, I'll put in the link below to get on there. 2 days, high vibe, great content. And so Dr. Val, I'm really excited. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
And so much for coming to San Diego to spend some time with us. It's so good.
I can't wait.
All right.
Honored and can't wait to meet everybody.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Okay, let's end it.